Hello class, welcome to week 3 of Windows Server Administration. I do apologize for getting this video out a bit later than usual. I will be getting out week 4's video at the very beginning of the week, so you don't have to worry about that. So I did post an announcement on Blackboard saying that I'm going to extend the deadline for week 3's homework, just because I'm getting this video out so late. So let's get to it. Let's get to the lab. Lab 3, Managing Virtual Machine Networks. And as always, you guys can go through the PowerPoint at your pace. It's more of like background information, and the lab is more hands-on, and I feel like it's more important for me to go through in these videos than the PowerPoint. So let's see how long this lab is. Actually, I can tell from the side scroller that it's quite long. Okay, so let's do step 1. They want us to go on PLAB DMO1, so we have to make sure we power it on. I powered it on off the video. So they want us to go to, well, Server Manager is going to pop up on its own, the dashboard. They do want us to click on the Tools menu and then select Hyper-V. So we'll do that. Okay, so Hyper-V Manager right there. On the Hyper-V Manager console, they want us to right-click the PLAB node on the navigation pane, so this, and they want us to select Virtual Switch Manager. Okay. From there, they want us to, so on the Virtual Switch Manager for PLAB DMO1, notice that there is an existing switch Microsoft Hyper-V network adapter virtual switch. Okay, yeah, it's right here. Select new virtual switch node. New virtual switch node. Oh, okay. On the right, select internal and click new virtual switch. Okay. Notice that the new virtual switch is added to the pane on the left. Yep. The pane on the right changes to virtual switch properties. Here you specify the properties of the new virtual switch. In the name text box, replace the existing text with internal network 1. Okay, so that's this. Internal network 1. Notice that the name in the left pane for the new switch automatically changes to the specified name. Click apply. Okay. Step 6, on the virtual switches pane at the left, select internal network 1. The right pane displays the properties of the internal network. Okay, I was already on it. In the VLAN ID section, select the Enable Virtual LAN Identification for Management Operating System checkbox. Okay, VLAN. Click OK to save the changes. You were directed back to the Hyper-V Manager console. Okay. So step 8, keep Hyper-V Manager window open. Okay, and then, so that's it for task 1. There's no screenshot there, but it's relatively straightforward. So task 2, inspect network adapters on PLAB DMO1. So we're still going to stay on this virtual machine. They want us to ensure that we're still connected to it. Right click on the network icon on the system tray. Okay. And select open network and internet settings. From the settings window, scroll down and select Network and Sharing Center link. Okay. On the Network and Sharing Center window, click Change Adapter Settings on the left navigation pane. So we'll click on that. On the Network Connections window, notice that there are multiple network adapters. So yeah, we got 3 here. Under no circumstance should you change the IP configuration on these network cards or you will lose connection to this device in the lab. Okay, so try not to do that. That could be really bad. So step 5, right click Ethernet, internal network 1, which was the one we created. Okay, and they want us, wait, and select properties. Okay. Step 6, on the internal network 1 properties dialog box, which just came up, select IPv4 and click properties. Okay, we want to be careful here because, okay, wait, let me go back. Okay. We are going to change an IP address here. Or we're going to assign an IP address. Okay, on the IPv4 properties dialog box, select use the following IP address option button. Okay, that means we're going to manually assign it, like statically assign an IP address. So in the IP address text box, type 192.168.0.20, okay, 0.25. It's /24 subnet, so 25 or 255.255.255.0, and then we're gonna click OK. Okay. So step 8, untick IPv6. Okay, so we're gonna remove that. Click close on the internal network 1 properties dialog box. Similarly, close the networking settings. Close the settings and network connections window. Okay, so we'll close this, so we should be right here. And maybe they want us to keep this up. I'm just going to minimize it for now. So that's it for task 2, so now we're on task 3. So task 3, enable ping connectivity. In the next task, you will be testing communication to the virtual machines hosted on PLAB DMO1. To do this, you will have to disable the firewall in PLAB DMO1 or enable file and printer sharing rule to confirm the connectivity. Okay, so they're just giving us an overview of what we're going to do. So for here, we're going to start with PowerShell. Yeah. So PowerShell, oh, I need admin, okay, yeah. So they want us to enter in this command. So we'll do enable, and I'm on step 2 right now. Firewall rule, split group, file, okay. So as long as I didn't misspell anything, it should work. Yep. Okay, cool. So I can close PowerShell. So that's it for task 3. Really short, straight to the point. So task 4, connect guest virtual machine to host. So we're still on PLAB DMO1. We haven't moved virtual machines yet. The Hyper-V Manager window is still open, so that's this. I'm going to minimize this. Right click on PLAB DCO2. So we're going to right click on this and go to settings. Okay. On the settings for this, we're going to click on the network adapter section. Okay, so right here. The details of the network adapter are displayed on the right. On the virtual switch drop-down list, change it to internal network 1. Okay, so this is the one we just created, so we're changing it to that. Click enable virtual LAN identification, click OK. Okay, seems easy enough. Okay, so step 4. Back on the Hyper-V Manager window, right-click PLAB DC02 and select OK. So the one we just made edits to, it's off right now, so we're just going to turn it on by clicking Connect. And click Start here, and we'll just wait for it to power on. So step 5 is just waiting, well, step 5 is clicking Start. Step 6 is just waiting for it to power on, and then we're going to have to send Control-Alt-Delete to it so that we can actually log onto it. And you could do that with this little button right here. So I'm just going to wait for it to give me the screen before I could press that button. And then the logon is just the default admin account and the usual password of password with a 0 and uppercase P. So we're still on step 6. Just gonna, okay, send Control-Alt-Delete here. Okay, so okay, perfect. So that's step 6 and 7, which is just waiting to log on and actually typing in the password. So step 8, when signed on to the PLAB DC02, which is this virtual machine that we're on, we're going to click the View menu and select Full Screen. Okay. So Server Manager is opening up. They want us to right-click Charm. Wait, on PC, on PLAB DC02, on PLAB DMO1, connection bar is displayed as the virtual machine is maximized. Connection bar, connection bar. Okay. Right-click, select or start charm. Oh, this. And then select PowerShell window. They don't specify admin, so we can just click on this. So in the PowerShell window, to test the connectivity from the guest virtual machine to PLAB DMO1, so we are on PLAB DMO1, but we're in a virtual machine that sits on PLAB DMO1. So now we're testing connectivity from that virtual machine to the actual PLAB DMO1. That's all we're doing here. So I'm just going to do ping PLAB DMO1, or yeah, PLAB DMO1. And it's working. Okay, so we're getting connectivity there. So step 11, you get the 4 usual standard replies. On the next prompt, you will ping the static IP address assigned to internal network 1. So now we're going to type the IP address that we manually assigned to that internal network 1. So we'll see what happens there. Okay, we're getting a reply there as well, so that's good. Get the 4 standard replies. Okay, so to test the connection to PLAB DMO1's local drive, local C drive, we have to do the net use z colon space 2 forward slash or 2 backslashes PLAB DMO1 backslash C. Okay. Task, the command completed successfully, which is what we wanted. Okay. So that's the end of step 14. So it says minimize the PowerShell window. So step 15 is click the minimize button on PLAB DC02 on PLAB connection bar. So that's this. Okay. So now we're back on PLAB DMO1. And that's it for task 4. Okay. Easy enough. So task 5, view MAC address pool. They give you like a brief description of what you're going to do in the task. I'm not going to read all of it. Just going to go straight to step 1. So step 1 on PLAB DMO1, which is where we're currently at, the Hyper-V Manager application is open, correct. On the Hyper-V Manager window, right-click on PLAB DMO1 node on the navigation pane at the left. Okay, so just gonna click on this, and then select Virtual Switch Manager. Okay. Um, I thought I had that window open. I think I have. Nope, I guess not. Okay. So step 2, on the Virtual Switch Manager for PLAB DMO1, access the navigation pane at the left. Okay. Locate the Global Network Settings section, which is right here, and click the MAC address range option. Okay. So the MAC address range pane on the right displays the range of addresses available to assign dynamically to the virtual network adapters. Um, they don't want us to do anything here. They're just showing it to us. So for this task, keep the defined MAC address range unchanged, and they want us to take a screenshot. So I'll take a screenshot here. Okay. So click OK to exit the Virtual Switch Manager. Okay. You are directed back to the Hyper-V Manager console. Keep the console open for the next activity. So that's it for page 3. Not a whole lot of I guess, like the previous 2 labs, we were installing Windows Server, and that definitely took a lot of time. This one was kind of quick, even though it was a little bit longer. The steps were a lot quicker and, in my opinion, easier, as long as you know, just read what they want you to find in any of these panes. So it's not too crazy. So step 4. So exercise 2, configure network isolation. So this is, okay, so this, it's like the devices you're going to be using. We already used both of these in the previous page, on page 3. So no new devices, learning outcomes, and then description of what configuring network isolation is. So task 1, set up network isolation. Step 1, I'm going to close this. Okay. So ensure you are connected to PLAB DMO1, which we know we are, and that Hyper-V Manager console is open, which we had open from page 3. Great. So they want us to right-click on PLAB Win 101, which is the very last one on our list of virtual machines, and they just want us to right-click it and then press Connect, because it's off right now. And then we're just going to press Start, and step 2 is just pressing Start. Step 3 is waiting for the virtual machine to start up. It's going to take some time. And step 4 will be once it's loaded up. So we'll give it a second to load up. It says once the wallpaper on the virtual machine that we just turned on is displayed, click minimize at the top right corner to minimize PLAB Win 101, as you will not sign into this device at the moment. Okay, so we're opening it, waiting for the wallpaper to show up, and then we're just minimizing it because we don't need it right now, which is okay. That's fine. So we'll minimize it. So step 5, on PLAB DMO1 desktop, right-click Start, okay, and then we're just going to open a PowerShell again, but the admin one. There is a difference between the two, even though they both say administrator. There is a difference. So on the administrator Windows PowerShell window, enter the following command to get the ACLs, so access control lists, associated with PLAB Win 101. So we're just going to type out what they say. I'm not sure if there's a space here, but I'm not going to put a space. It doesn't look like there is. I mean, if there is a space and it errors out, I'll just type it again. Nothing lost there. PLAB. I always write PB. The PLAB Win 101. Press enter. Just give it a sec. Okay, so I believe that's good. I believe that's what we want. So the command will give you a summary of network adapters detected on PLAB Win 101. Okay. So to create isolation, you deny the flow of data between 2 servers. To create isolation here, deny both inbound and outbound traffic between the remote address 192.168.0.1 which is the virtual machine that we used on the previous page of this entire lab. So on page 3 we were working on plab DC01. So they want us to deny both inbound and outbound traffic between that device, which is a virtual machine, and plab win 101, which is the virtual machine we just started up and minimized. So to do that, we're gonna set a command through PowerShell on plab dmo1, which is our actual physical machine that is housing all these different virtual machines. And we just enter in this command in PowerShell, so we'll do that. So there's no spaces. ACL. Now there's a space. VM name. plab. See, I always write PB. plab win 101 space remote IP address 192.168.0.1 space direction both action deny. Okay, should work. Okay, it did work because it doesn't look like it gives me a confirmation. Yeah, step 9 says notice you do not get a confirmation if the command is successfully executed. This is default behavior of some PowerShell commands. However, if you get an error, however, you will get an error if the command is not supported by Windows PowerShell. Okay, so it looks like it went through. So step 10, on the next prompt, enter the following command to deny both inbound and outbound traffic between the remote address of plab dmo1, which is the physical machine we're on right now, and that virtual machine that we opened to the wallpaper and then minimized, which is plab win 101. So to do that, we're going to enter in this next line of this next command in PowerShell. You'll never have to ever remember any of these commands. You can always look these up, like in an actual work environment. As long as you know what to search for, as in, like, in this case, we're trying to configure network isolation. So you would type like network isolation commands to use in PowerShell, and then you get tons of results, and like you would find this line of code there. So don't worry about like remembering this stuff, or at least like the specific command syntax, because it's very rare that people memorize all of them. I mean, sometimes you memorize some of them because you use it a lot, but I wouldn't worry too much about that for real world application. So 192.168 0.2 direction both action deny. Okay, so same thing, because it's basically the same command we used right before. We just changed IP addresses. We didn't get a confirmation, but because it didn't error out, we should be good. So step 11. Step 11 is nothing. It's just saying that I'm not going to get a confirmation. Step 12. Okay, so on the next prompt, enter the following command to get the ACLs associated with plab win01 or win101. So we're still on plab dmo1, and we're just going to enter in, is there a space? I don't think so. VM network adapter AC. Well, they do. Okay. Oh my gosh. I keep on typing PB, and then I try going lab, but it's... Okay. So, yeah, this is a good way of checking. Like, obviously we didn't get confirmations after we entered in those past two commands, but this command actually tells us the network adapters on plab win101, and it's saying that they're getting denied as far as like traffic going in or out of them. So that's good because that's what we wanted. We're isolating that network. So that's that. So step what is that, step 12? Yes, that's step 12. So step 13, the command gives you a summary of the network adapters and the rules that block isolate data flow between PLAB Win101 server and PLAB DC01, which was the virtual machine we used on the previous page, and PLAB DM01, which is the physical machine that we're it's basically like our home base that we're accessing all these virtual machines from. So that's good. So they want us to do exit here. Okay, so it just closes PowerShell. So I'm back on the Hyper-V Manager console. It says keep the console open for the next activity. So task 2, configure legacy virtual network adapters. So step 1, the Hyper-V Manager console is displayed on PLAB DMO1. On the virtual machines pane in the middle, right-click PLAB's A02 and select settings. Okay, so we're not turning this on yet. We're just going to settings. So the settings on PLAB's A02 is displayed. Okay. On the add hardware pane at the right, so add hardware pane, which is this. Select network adapter, select legacy network adapter and click add. Okay, so do this, click add. Step 3, the right pane now displays the options relevant to legacy network adapter. In the legacy network adapter section, change the virtual switch dropdown to Microsoft Hyper-V network adapter virtual switch. So this right here, and they want us to change it to that. Select enable virtual LAN identification, so they want us to do that. They want us to take a screenshot. Cool. Now they want us to click OK. Okay, you are directed back to the Hyper-V Manager console. Keep the console open for the next activity. So make sure you do take that screenshot before you press OK, because they just want to see that you made those setting adjustments. Because once you press OK, it does close. Obviously, you could reopen it by pressing settings and then going to legacy network adapter. So if you did press OK before you took the screenshot, you could open it again, because your changes are saved. But that's it for page 4. So it says keep all devices powered on in their current state and proceed to the next exercise. Okay. So is there exercises? Okay, so page 6 is always like questions. Okay, it's good to know. Obviously you would answer those on your own. They're just based on like stuff that you were doing in this particular lab. So take your time before you answer those questions. We're still on page 5, exercise 3. So this one does look really short, which is cool because the first page was pretty long. So step 1, on the PLAB DMO1, which is our home base, which is what we have on open right now, ensure that Hyper-V Manager console is displayed. It is. Right-click PLAB Win101, which is, remember, that was that virtual machine we opened and then we just kind of left running. We minimized it. They want us to go to the settings for this device. It is running, but we could still go to settings. So in the settings, on the navigation pane at the left, expand any instance of network adapter. Okay, expand the instance of network adapter, so we get those two. And select hardware acceleration. So this, okay. On the right pane, or the right pane, displays the details relevant to hardware acceleration. Cool. In the single root I/O virtualization section, select the enable Sr Iov checkbox. Okay, so it's the very last one. Sr Iov enables networked traffic to bypass the software layer of the switch in Hyper-V. This increases network throughput and reduces network latency on these virtual machines, which also reduces CPU usage. So this is like a quality of life for like the network, as in like so that it's reducing network traffic, reducing the virtual machine CPU usage, which is great. Just makes everything a little bit faster. So click the button. Okay, so they want us to take a screenshot of this screen. So take the screenshot first, then press OK, and exit the console, and that's it. And that's really the lab. um, and then, like I said, page 6 is just a bunch of questions that it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 questions. And okay, so this one was like, I haven't read the question, but I do know we created an internal virtual network. This one, we were working with virtual switches, but there's a bunch of options that, I would say read through these questions. Okay, so we did use this command. Was the likely output of the following command? Um, so yeah, it's just checking to make sure you were paying attention of what you were doing throughout the lab. That's really it. And then make sure you guys do submit report after you answer all the questions, and that way I can get it. And that's it, really. That's essentially the lab for week 3. Nothing too crazy. Let me quickly open the syllabus. Okay. Just want to check something really quick. So I'm gonna minimize this. Okay, sounds good. Okay, so I was just checking next week's lab. This week's lab was managing virtual machine networks. Next week we're going to get into Active Directory accounts, which the PowerPoint has been posted on Blackboard. If you guys want to read it and just get familiar with Active Directory user accounts and groups, which is used a lot in corporations, because as you guys know, work groups is really not ideal because of a whole variety of reasons. So Active Directory is really the go-to, either Active Directory or Azure Active Directory, which is like the cloud version of Active Directory, which could sync with on-site Active Directory to form like a hybrid kind of environment. But we'll get into that next week. Obviously, go through the PowerPoint. Make sure you guys are reading the actual book chapters, like the book readings that I post, because that's what gives you the background knowledge that you guys need. Not just for the labs. I mean, the labs are relatively straightforward, but like moving forward, because the labs are basically showing you different ways you guys can use Windows Server, like the different services and the tools and all of those, the tricks with PowerShell. That's what the labs are doing. But when you guys get into a work environment, you're going to have specific tasks that are given to you by your boss. And based on those tasks, you guys are going to have to say, oh, okay, maybe I need to use PowerShell here. Maybe I have to use WDS, which is um, for mass deployment of computer images. Maybe I have to use Active Directory. Maybe I have to use DNS, like create a DNS server. So all of that falls within Windows Server. And so far we've gone through a couple stuff like installing Windows Server. Let me get the syllabus back up. So we've gone through so installing Windows Server, configuring Windows Server, which was like we're installing Server Core, which was like Windows Server but without like a stripped down version of Windows Server. Um, this week we've gone through managing virtual machines on virtual machine networks on Windows Server, which is something that you do a lot in a corporate environment. Um, there's always that one physical server, or it could be, yeah, usually physical server that houses all of these virtual machines that are also servers. So this week was, I think, the most, I would say, closest to real life experience, like work experience, that we've gotten to so far. I mean, it's a slow ramp up. So next week, the Active Directory accounts, that's really going to be um, on par with this week as far as like the importance for actual workplace um, familiarity and skill sets that you should have. So definitely read this week's chapter readings and next week's because those are really important. Um, and then the week after we have our first test, which is going to be some multiple choice, some true and false stuff like that. Um, I don't believe there's going to be any like lab for the test. I think it's really just going to be the multiple choice true and false. Um, so yeah, I'm sorry for the little rant at the end. I thought I could just like kind of give you guys a brief overview because we are 3 weeks into the course. We have learned a couple new stuff with Windows Server, but um, that the first 2 weeks were really like more of an introduction. Like this week was really the first week that I believe we've really gotten into the meat of things. So yeah, I'll see you guys next week.